How's it going, everybody? I am Preston Johnson.
Welcome to
Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV.
As a general philosophy.
That's exactly right. You're a fish.
Qwan, by the way, my producer, Qwan Young, doing a good job. He'll be taking the calls. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome to the show, Bets TV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV. I am Preston Johnson, hanging out here in the sunny Southern California studios with Qwan Young. He's producing, co-hosting over there on the side. Wow, I like that. I like that view. We could go with the couch shot. There we go. Quan's switching up cameras. He actually was here late last night. I don't know, till like 7 Pacific time.
You know what day it is?
Well, yeah, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Your favorite day of the week, but not anymore.
Why not?
I don't know. Just rough, long day yesterday adjusting some camera stuff, which is, I think, why you went to the other camera.
Yeah.
I don't know if you switched them on the board.
It was muscle memory right
It's
there.
all good. Next time we'll have someone over there waiting to wave. Maybe we should put the Pikachu hat, which, by the way, there's going to be an investigation later
We got to talk about it.
on the show. For those that were tuning in yesterday, you'll know what I'm talking about. But welcome to the show. Quan's doing well. It is Tuesday. It is his favorite day of the week for his weekly power ratings. I don't get it. I never will.
It's Tuesday.
Yesterday, for those that are just tuning in for the first time, we take your phone calls. You guys tell us the bets you like. We track them throughout the month, and then we give away free money to the people that end up on top of the leaderboard. We've given away $1,500 so far, $200 so far, thanks to Quan's kickball team in the pool so far for August. There will be more. But everyone but Patrick won yesterday. There were a ton of callers. You guys all took it down. The actual total, the tally, I looked this up earlier. I just tweeted it out too. I gave you guys some love. The callers are 22-10 this month, plus 18.04 units. I think there were two teamers in there that hit, and there was an underdog that was like plus 191. I think a Mariners play from Bob. So shout out to the callers. We all know they were due. I would not be tailing these guys at all. It's all in good fun, but they're crushing it so far in August, and the end of July was brutal. So,
My man Carlos with 4 in a row.
look, the guy, no joke, loses like 17 straight. Rattles off 4 in a row. Is it Patrick still in first, though, barely, or no?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll have an update on the leaderboard here in a second, but I think Patrick still holds a small lead. Carlos is up there. Look, all of you guys are in the mix. Even Tone won with a Summer League pick, betting on the Kings pick, even though he wanted minus 1.5. That got there. So I don't know what happened to Patrick. He went with the Reds because they were on fire. He went with the Carlos method, on a roll or they're due. It didn't work. Shocker. But as a whole, you guys are crushing. 22-10, over 18 units. And we'll take anyone's calls. 661-515-BETS. is our phone number. That's 661-515-2387. So that's the intro. We're also going to talk more college football. I've been doing previews for the last 5.5 weeks or so. Every conference. We did the independent teams yesterday. And now today we're going to talk AAC. Primarily we'll focus a little bit on Cincinnati, UCF, and Tulsa, who are my top 3 graded teams in the conference. I think most people that have ratings for college football do have those 3 teams. Some are higher on SMU than Tulsa. I think that's at least respectable. I'm not going to argue it. But the fact that Tulsa, what they did last year, we'll get into some of the details and what they're looking at this year. I mean, they deserve to be in the mix. Memphis always is in that top mix as well. Summer League, by the way, we only had, I think, 2 people that picked Summer League, but they won. And I was begging for people to do more Summer League yesterday. I'm glad you didn't listen because everyone that didn't still cashed. And then we got the Summer League winners. We'll open up the lines. I think we already got a caller. We don't have anything else planned here for the intro outside of just giving some love to our callers because you guys are killing it in August. So if we want to take is it Carlos? He's so excited. I don't think he's ever called this early. He's won 4 in a row. He's so excited. He Insta-snap calls the line as soon as we mention it. Carlos, awesome work. 4 straight winners. Tell us you have 5 in a row. And remember, for those that have not heard, Qwan bet on Carlos to win the leaderboard this month, and I give him 5-1. So, Carlos, you're doing well. You can't blow this for Qwan, man.
I cannot. I thank you. I probably should never have won that game last night, considering the fact that it was, 1-1 in the seventh inning. And
Well, I was actually going to reference this, and well, you brought it up yourself. There was a stat from Stats by Stats. The Royals are the first team in the modern era to erase a deficit in the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th innings of the same game. And they almost did it in the 11th, but those extra innings are why it ends up going over. So congratulations. Me and Qwan were talking prior to the show. We think after you lost betting against your kid's 16-year-old friend on the baseball team, UFC fights, that was like such a low. The gambling gods were like, please, for the love of everything, like give this guy some winners. And so sure enough, he's on a 4-game winning streak.
It was like a Stephen King movie. He ran it, call him better. He ran into somebody that changed his betting course.
Just veered back. Look, that's not a made-up story. Carlos called in. He admitted to losing UFC fights with a 16-year-old kid that was on his own kid's baseball team. We've all been there to some extent, some lower than others. Carlos, well done, though, on the streak. And you're right. Last night, like that was just perfect example of how you're tied. The luck has turned, my friend.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you. Today, I'm going to take Texas and Seattle over 8. I believe it is. I don't know why the number is 8. I think both pitchers' ERA is 4 and 5 respectively. I don't know which one, but I know one pitcher has a 4-point-something ERA. Another one has a 5. I don't know where they're getting the number 8. I don't follow none of these pitchers, but I'm just kind of learning as I go. And I think it's going to be runs. So, yeah,
so you're right. There is
8.
A total of 8. I can even give you plus 100 on the 8 over. This is Seattle and Texas. You have Allard and Gilbert. There's a little bit of wind blowing in towards home plate. If you want to give some sort of why is this total lower than it should be, you can't always just look at the ERAs either. Obviously, sports books know what an ERA is. We also know that ERA isn't super predictive relative to a lot of other metrics as far as what to see and what we'll foresee in the future. I'll lock you in, though. I don't think you've ever bet an under. So as soon as you said you're going to the Rangers-Seattle game, I figured it was over.
Yeah, maybe I can use the wind changing and blowing the balls out the park theory.
It's only like 9 miles an hour, and then it actually drops off like mid-game. It's not very significant.
Okay.
I just looked it up because it did seem a little low, and you mentioned it. And on top of that, it opened 8.5, juiced under it, so it's kind of moved down a half run nearly. So anyway, that's why I was curious. I looked it up, but I thought it was like, man, maybe there's like 20-mile-per-hour winds or something, and that's why it's getting moved down, and it's just such a low number. Nope, they just knew Carlos won it over, and they're willing to bet that this winning streak ends. So good luck tonight. I hope that you're calling back tomorrow with 5 straight.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Take it easy. I heard we had another caller, right?
We do.
All right, let's take that now. We might take our first break a little late, but we'll try to get through this one before we got to hit a break. Welcome to Last Word, Cheetah. Who are we talking to?
This is Tom.
What's up, Tom? How you doing?
Right. All right, buddy. How about yourself?
Good. Can you confirm that you're the person that I thought you were, or did you listen to the show after you hung up?
Yeah. Yo. You give me the Pikachu route.
Yeah. We're gonna.
Got nothing to do with the Pikachu. Too old for that, bro.
You're too old for that, brah.
For the Pikachu stuff, you know what I'm talking about.
Look, it's weird because the DM thing, like there is a TJ Davis that I've spoken to in DMs before. I don't know if that's you.
That's me.
Okay. So I know how we can confirm this. It just hit me. Even though we're going to do an investigation later on the audio because we had Pikachu in studio a couple months away. You sent me a picture once in that DM of a certain football team's colors. I thought it was really respectable, really cool. I apologize if you didn't want me to bring this up publicly, but it was, I think, a graveyard. But there were some colors on the grass, and I thought it was awesome. What school was it? What colors?
You got me lost on that one. I had to go back and look. I know we talked about that little weight goal of us both losing that weight.
Okay, now I'm actually
you.
thinking it might be Pikachu. I was like fairly certain this would just confirm. Now I got to go back in the DMs during the break. Look, you had a 3-teamer you bet yesterday. We got to get to a break soon, so I'm going to let you make your pick for today. One of the games was canceled, but you hit the 2-teamers, the 2 totals. So you're plus 2.7 out of the gate. I know it was your first time calling, supposedly. What do you like today? Do you have something in baseball again?
Yes.
All right, hit us with it.
Where's the leader at? 'Cause I had to go with another parlay to try to catch up.
You're only a couple units behind now because you almost knocked 3 of them out. It's early in the month. You don't have to do a parlay, but if you choose to, that's fine too.
All right, let's just do a little small one. 3-team of the White Sox, the Cardinals, and your favorite team, the Boys in Blue from L.A.
Okay. So the White Sox minus 146. The Cardinals, I cannot find on my screen. Oh, that's why. Okay. Minus 129. Minus 157. All right, let me give you this real quick. Minus 146, plugging it into the calculator. Minus 120. Minus 150. We are at plus 391. You got that, Quan? So almost 4-1. If you win this, you're definitely going to be right in the mix there. So 3-teamer for Pikachu. We'll lock you in.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, we appreciate the call. We'll hear from you tomorrow, I hope.
All right, brother.
Take care. Quan is just losing it over there. All right, we got to take a break. This is Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV. Our phone line, 661-515-BETS. It's open the rest of the show for the rest of the hour. Give us a call. Tell us your winners, and you got a shot at winning some cash at the end of the month. Look, I'm talking to Tom right now. He confirmed in the DM. He said, all right, this is me to confirm I am not the Pikachu, whatever the hell that is. LOL. Well, Pikachu is a Pokemon. It's also someone that we had in studio. I guess this confirms it. I'm trying to figure out how he could possibly have, unless they're in cahoots together or something to like troll us. I don't know. I think we're safe. I don't think it's him because he did just DM me. So,
What did he DM you though?
all right, this is to confirm I'm not the Pikachu or whatever the hell that is.
How many followers does Tom have?
Look, I've talked to this guy, TJ, like for the last 2 years.
Okay.
Every couple months, he probably DMs me a question or just something. And he just shot me one now. So I'm pretty sure it's him. It's not Pikachu. Although there were multiple people who messaged me yesterday, which is why Qwan wanted to do an investigation. They're like, 100% that was Pikachu. They listened to the show, and they're like, yeah, that has to be him. Apparently not. Tom, we love you. We appreciate your call. You hit this 3-teamer, you're going to be in first place, just like that, 2 days in. Do we have callers on hold? All right, let's patch through the first one. Welcome to Last Word, Cheetah. Thanks for holding over the break in our investigation, mini one. This is Preston. How you doing today?
What's going on, Preston?
Hey, tell us what happened yesterday, Patrick. There were 7 callers. You were the only L, and some people were parlaying.
Well, you know what? I always have sound handicaps. I don't play the do factor. I like my handicap. I got some closing line value there. So sometimes it happens.
You did.
Yeah. Can't win them all.
Fair enough. I like the attitude.
I would much rather be on
Stay
the
positive.
opposite side of the callers most of the time.
Did you hear that, though? I tweeted it too. 22-10. That includes your loss yesterday. Over 18 units net profit so far. I don't think you guys will even be positive after the final week and a half of parlays people try to do to win the prize pool, but it's a good week and a half to start.
Well, let's keep it going. Everybody's winning money. Let's keep
All
it
right,
going.
give us your W.
So I am on the Detroit Lions. They play Friday because I think this line's going to move. So I want to get out ahead of it. They're +2 right now. That is the blue bet online at -0.05 earlier today, but it's moved a little bit. So I'm not sure what you're seeing on your screen now.
I can give you.
But yeah.
I was going to say I can give you 2 -108.
Okay, I will take that. But yeah, it's Dan Campbell's game. He's the type of coach that wants to win his game at home. Sean McDermott has already said that he's not playing starters or just not going to play. And has said that he's going to play his starters for the first quarter. So I think this line will actually probably close either at pick or having the Lions slightly favored.
Beautiful. I like the analysis. So if you're getting 2, by the way, shout out to our friend Matt Landis, who was in studio as well recently. And I believe you listened to his podcast. Patrick, you gave him a shout out when you called in before. He said there are some books that still offer 6-point teasers on NFL preseason. This would be a prime option, getting the +2 up to +8.
Oh, yeah.
For a teaser
Keep
leg, if your book offers that.
For sure.
Cool, man. We appreciate the call.
I'm playing it straight up, and I'll take the points, not the money line. So.
Yes, I got you in +2 -108.
All right, let's nail it. See you guys.
Perfect. Yep, take care. Talk to you tomorrow. How do you feel about that as a Detroit Lions fan yourself? It was a pretty good handicap.
He said they're going to play the starters, but to me that doesn't really mean much. They have no depth, and the starters are
It's one of those where Buffalo doesn't really care.
Yeah.
Maybe they do go up 7-0 at the end of the first quarter, but then it's just backups versus backups can't be great.
Yeah. I don't see it. They're like all of their young guys are still learning, and it's still, I guess, a young team. I don't know.
Brand new coaching system.
Yeah.
Look, if it does close, pick or even them as a favorite, it's preseason. There's weirdness. There's teams always going for 2 to avoid ties or making sure they win by 1 or even can tie. Look, there's a chance you maybe get a middle opportunity potentially as well if you wanted to play early, and he's right about the move. I don't have a personal opinion yet. I haven't heard anything in regards to that, but he's trying to get out ahead of it, so give him some love. Do we have someone on hold? All right, cool. We'll take the call, patch him through. Welcome to Last Word, Cheetah. Who are we speaking to?
This is Saurabh. How's it going, man?
What's up, man? How you doing? Did you play yesterday? I can't recall what you had. Right at the buzzer, right?
Yeah, I took that last-minute Memphis Summer League.
That's right. Well done. -2.5. Got there. Are you there, Saurabh? Sorry, did we lose him?
Yes.
Oh, you're there. What's up, man? Let us know what you like tonight.
Yeah, so today I'm going to go with the Dodgers first 5 run line, please.
Okay, we'll give you that. We had another caller go with the Dodgers as well. Any reason particularly? Going with Scherzer just because?
Just kind of riding Scherzer, man. It seems like a fair price, so going with the Dodgers.
All right, I can give you the minus 109 on minus a half for the Dodgers first half. We'll lock you in.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate
Go,
it.
man. Appreciate the call as usual. Take it easy.
You too. Thanks.
I heard Tone. That's why. I was giving him the pause. I'm still here. Tone, what's up, man? How are you doing? Congrats on the win.
What's up, Preston? How am I looking in the grand scheme of the month?
Well, believe it or not, if you win one in a row, you're still not looking great. Qwan can give me a quick tally. If you can't do the math, just read off the 5 or 4 figures, and I'll do it.
Are you talking to me or Qwan?
Qwan, I'm talking to Qwan. He's at plus 3 units. Okay, you're plus 3, so you're probably like in third or something in that range, third or fourth place.
What's first right now? Sorry, I missed the beginning of the show.
All good. Carlos, Qwan, do you have, it was Carlos's in first. Do you remember what his tally was?
Actually,
Or is Patrick still in first? All right, what were they?
296, 2.96, 1.55, 1. And
All right, let me get the Rockets tonight money line. It's all good. It's only the beginning of the month anyways.
You don't need a
Going to
parlay
Rockets.
yet. It is early. You're going to go Rockets on the money line for the game.
Yep.
I can give you plus 115. It has moved your way already. Open plus 135. Fading Detroit, which has a lot of the sexy names.
How Detroit's still I don't even understand how they're a favorite.
Cade
but
Cunningham.
We'll see after this.
They have some young guys that played a bunch last year when they were tanking. Yeah,
the
they'll be pretty overvalued a lot, I think, in summer league.
Yeah. And can we talk about Brandon Knight? I mean, he should retire. For a guy that got $80 million to go minus 20 and have 7 fouls in 20 minutes, he should just retire.
I didn't
The
hear
fact
about
that
the
he's still
fouls. That's
playing
pretty
summer
funny.
league.
I know he was trying to give it a
7
go,
fouls.
getting some run, but minus 20 and 7 fouls. I didn't know.
Yeah,
was he playing overseas prior to this? Do you know?
Well, he didn't play last year, I'm pretty sure, just like in general. Like he played for the Pistons the year before, I believe.
Right.
And then I don't think he played. I don't know that I'm pretty sure he just didn't play last year. And then
Maybe it was
like
like COVID related. He just
his
hung
comeback.
low.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he came into the season in Detroit in like 2011, and he's playing summer league in 2021. That's that might be a record actually. I'd have to look into it.
Is amazing. Nah, you got to see Portland. They got Michael Beasley, Moutier, and Kenneth Faried somehow.
Well,
It's
Faried,
an all-time team.
did you know that's
Yeah,
why
what was he on,
Portland was the
2016 USA? What was he on? The USA team?
yeah.
in
Faried made the
2016?
USA team for a year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
an unbelievable summer league team.
I haven't seen anything like it before, but it also was, I think, the reason Portland was like 8-1, and they were the favorites to win the summer league because they were like these pseudo vets, like making up half of their roster. So I'm not sure
they
how
have
it's going to play
Moutier
out
on
if those
there,
guys
too.
just bail after 2 or 3 games by the time the actual tournament starts, or if they're playing all the way through. I have no clue what to expect, so I wouldn't have touched it. But
I mean,
we'll
what
see
can you
happens.
expect from Michael Beasley in Vegas? Not much.
That is a good point. Las Vegas is the most telling factor. Maybe that's why he's even playing at all. He needed an excuse to go.
Easily.
Yeah.
He was probably just there.
You want to play some hoops? Michael, come on over.
Yep.
Oh, man. Hey, Tom, we appreciate the call, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, have a good one, man.
We got one more caller, and then we'll hit another break. Welcome to Last Word, Cheetah. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. What's going on, Preston?
Things are good. Life is good. Do you have something for us in the NBA?
I do have something. What I'm looking at is, let me see here. Okay. I'm going to take the Sacramento Kings, got minus 2.5, because I like their point guard. I like the point guard that they drafted, defensive-minded, game-managing player from Baylor. So they're playing
Davion
against the
Mitchell?
Wizards. Yes, Davion Mitchell. So I think he's, these summer league games, we can get into the and one stuff. We can get into, highlights and having, 25 shots on 24 attempts. 25 points on 24 attempts and all of that. It looks good, for, the ESPN reel, but, you didn't really. So with him at the helm, and frankly, the Sacramento Kings being one of these teams that could be in the hunt for, a Ben Simmons blockbuster, I think they could be making some major moves, possibly moving away from Marvin Bagley. You would hope that if you did, pull off this Simmons deal and just bring him to California, even though he was leaning more so towards the Warriors, that you could keep De'Aaron Fox. But so anyway, long story not so long. I like the Kings at minus 2.5, and I was thankful that the Japanese women battled to the end, to cover for me last week. There were some layups that were missed by fouls, and I don't know if you saw that game. The last basket was an unintentional tip-in by Team USA. So the 15, it looked 15 points, So
did it swing the spread?
Win, but it was actually kind of sweating it out down the stretch.
Oh wow!
But Japanese women, they battled as expected, but USA was dominant inside, so we knew that. So congrats to them on the gold, and thankful for me that it was 15, not 19.
Yeah, well done. By the way, real quick before we need to take our break, I can give you minus 1.5. Circa Sports in Las Vegas is offering 1.5, and there are a lot of places offering 2. So at open pick, there was a ton of steam on Sacramento to 2.5. It's come back down and kind of centered 1.5 too. So I'll give you the best number. That's how we do things. You got 1.5. So Sacramento by 2 or more, and you got yourself a W.
Okay, appreciate it, Preston. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yep. Take it easy. I also am curious. I think I saw something about Davion Mitchell leaving the game. I think he returned, though, and was okay. But they're always so cautious in summer league stuff if there's any type of semi-tweak. The problem is, not the problem. The good thing is that I think he did return, so it's probably a non-factor. But sometimes, like those little tweaks, even if they do return, then the next day they're like, it's a back-to-back. It's our rookie we just drafted. We got to be careful. Let's sit him out. So it would be unfortunate if that's the case. Hopefully everyone plays and he's on the right side there with Sacramento. We're going to take one more break, and then we'll jump in to college football. We'll talk AAC on the other side and take more of your calls. 661-515-BETS. This is Last Word Cheetah. Qwan, have you ever had pistachio butter?
No.
Phenomenal.
Have I? No. Almond butter, I think, is the only place.
Yeah, people have had almond butter before as the substitute to peanut butter. Look, it doesn't really, honestly, peanut butter's better than almond butter. But if you like pistachios, if you like pistachio gelato, I may. I was at this farm locally getting some produce for the week, stocking up, and they had this jar of pistachio butter, a few of them. I'd never seen it before. So I grabbed it. It's like the size of that yarn ball string to help right there on the edge of that desk. Are you going to get it? You don't have to, but okay. He was gearing up. I was just giving you some context so you can see, but it's small. And the first thing when I get to the front, really nice girl, she's like, "Oh, this pistachio butter, it's to die for. I put it on everything. It lasts 2 or 3 days max. I just wish I didn't have to take out a student loan every time to buy it." And I was like, "Oh shoot, that's a good point. Like this, it's all organic, farm, growing right there, produce. So I pay extra for it. Just in general, going there, and I hadn't really hit me yet. Like, okay, like almond butters, like organic peanut butters, even almond butters, those are pretty expensive as they are, even at a grocery store. What do you think? Again, look at the size of that. That's the size of it. What do you think the pistachio butter cost?
$6.72.
This is the Wendy's guy who thinks a Wendy's junior bacon cheeseburger value is
expensive
over $4.
It's expensive to be alive now.
$6.72.
$6.70.
I don't. Peanut butter's like $6.72. Like one of the big ones is, I think, like Jif or whatever.
Really?
Like I'm pretty sure they're like $5 or $6 plus tax. Maybe there's no tax actually. But like, so you're like way low.
Really?
It was $24.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm a member, so I got 10%.
I gotta get the visual of what you're saying.
Okay, yeah, go get it. Bob, I know you're on hold. Just hang on for like one more minute, and then we'll take your call. He's got 17 chords he needs to hop through, but yeah. All right. I'm not sure if people can tell. This is for sure the size relative to a MacBook Pro, a cell phone. It's pretty small. It was $24. I had it once last night. I couldn't believe how good it was. So this is bad news for me and my bankroll. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Good Lord, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. It's one of those, you just got to try it.
Hell no.
Just don't worry about the money. Luckily, I don't have to really worry about it, but it was better than I was even expecting after she hyped it up. And now I'm worried about, again, my wallet. Let's bring Bob in. How are you doing, sir? How was your day yesterday? I believe you got a W as well.
Yeah. It was the questionable Padres given alternate run line, but
oh my gosh, yes, I was sweating that for you last night. I was bored, checking the app scores. They were up only 1 in the bottom of the 8th, so feasibly their last time to hit, and they scored like 4 or 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th. So they got the -2.5 for you. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you. Hey, I want to know, what's the line for number of times Qwan has been in a grocery store in the last month? Because he's been way off on any time you ever ask him to price anything. So,
well, this is the thing. He from what I gather, he definitely eats out and eats fast food a lot. Like, you don't really cook at home much, right? Like, do you go to the grocery store once a week?
Month, I've been eating out a lot, but I used to cook a lot. So, but apparently, I have no idea what anything costs.
Yeah, you did go to the grocery store to get hot dogs for your hot dog eating contest.
Actually,
failed.
Those were like leftover hot dogs from.
That explains a lot. I could not get 3 of those down. They tasted awful.
They were hand-me-down hot dogs.
yeah,
Hand-me-down hot dogs 2 days before 4th. I don't know how that worked. I'm glad I didn't get more sick than I felt 4 minutes into that. Bob, do you have a W for us today? I know everyone's been hot. You got to keep pace.
Yeah, I think I'm up there on the leaderboard. Don't be worrying about this. But I got 2 things. All right, so I got the Dodgers over the Phillies.
Okay.
All right, and then I wanted to go couple that with the Giants. So I'm on the National League West today. So, but I want to do the Giants on the run line.
Okay, so Dodgers just on the money line. I can go -144. They're actually getting bet against right now. The screen just flashed. And then I can give you run line on the Giants. -106, it looks like. So let me just plug this in for you. -106. And
They got Wood
140.
throwing, and you know how the Diamondbacks are on the road. So I feel like that's.
And they just never went on the road. That is a trend that just seems to keep cashing. Plus 229. So a little over 2-1. We'll lock you in plus 229.
And Bob's
All right,
actually
thanks so
right.
much, guys.
Bob's the leader after Patrick's loss yesterday.
Okay, well, that's what I was curious because Patrick was the only one that lost, and
Yeah.
I was curious if anyone passed him up. I know Carlos had won 4 in a row. So where's Bob at?
4.59.
Okay, yeah, because Carlos and Tone are under that. So okay, we got a nice little run going.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Little
intrigued.
competition.
I'm also a little intrigued, man. Yeah, Dodgers getting bet against pretty hard right now, for what it's worth. People watching the screen. I'm curious why you went with a 2-team parlay. Like you're in first, you don't really need to risk it.
You're right, but they're both such good bets. I mean, Scherzer, when he was with the Nationals, just dominated the Phillies, and so I just feel like that one's gonna go good. And then the Giants, they got a strong deal with Wood on the mound, and the Diamondbacks just they can't score against him. So that's what I'm going with.
All right, we'll lock you in plus 229. We appreciate it, Bob.
Yep.
By the way, Alex Wood resurgence. He actually went to the Dodgers after he had kind of tailed off in was it Cincinnati before that? But anyway, pitching pretty well this year. It was in Cincinnati. So then he went to the Dodgers, and then 4 ERA this year, flat for the Giants. His FIP even lower than that. Awesome. Pitching well. I don't know how the Giants are doing it. We've talked about it before on the show. They keep winning games. They keep themselves in the race. And if you ask the casual, even baseball fan, like how many Giants players you could name, which I actually tested you on. I think we did over under 2.5, and you couldn't even get to 2.5. You forgot about Buster Posey. You probably should have gotten that one, but I believe you only got 1 or 2 others. So
No, I just said Pablo Sandoval.
Oh, that's right.
Long time ago.
Different era.
Yeah.
It's all good. Do we have anyone that was waiting? Just want to double check before we move on. Cool. Good luck, everyone that called in. We still have 20 minutes. You guys can call if you have something, 661-515-BETS. In the meantime, we will jump over to the AAC. And I teased at the beginning, look, Cincinnati is clear and far away number 1 in the conference. No one's going to argue differently. I think some people maybe argue about Tulsa, SMU, Memphis as the 3, 4, 5 tier. I think Tulsa deserves it, so they're up there. But let's go with Cincinnati to start. By the way, conference odds, minus 200. I think that's the best price that is available. I have like a simulation I run for all my conference odds, and this used to be minus 160 earlier in the summer. It was one of the better bets I thought for conference odds. It's moved. It's a lot closer to fair now. I was just under 70%, but a lot of the prices that are available, I'm just going to say, let me pull them up. I think we're minus 220, which is about 69% break-even point. So I wouldn't bet the minus 220s. I think at minus 200, you're good. It's an okay bet. Basically wouldn't bet it much worse. So just wanted to give people some context. You see minus 200 on the board. I believe I saw 1 minus 200, 1 minus 205, and then the rest were even more expensive. And it's just moved pretty drastically the last month to month and a half. But all is well. Just wanted to let people know that that's where the pricing is for Cincinnati. But it's deserved. And again, I think that they're just winning this conference about 70% of the time. And man, last year they had one of the, I don't know if I was taken aback. Is that the right way to put it? I'm going to look up their schedule from last year, actually, so because I don't want to get this wrong. But they were so good defensively and at a level with Desmond Ridder at quarterback, and it just their offense was able to just keep them in every game or just winning every game because their defense had been so good. And then they finally lose a game to Georgia. There it is, 24-21. Now, in my head, I remember that being less close. I think Cincinnati may have scored the final 2 touchdowns of that game. It might have been 24-7. And so Georgia handled them, if I recall correctly. They barely beat Tulsa by 3 in the AAC championship game, which is another reason why I think Tulsa has kind of earned their spot up here. But Cincinnati defensively, if they're able to duplicate what they did last year, which, by the way, Tulsa graded out better in EPA in the AAC. I think they were 12th in all of football in defensive EPA. So Cincinnati's in the mix as well. And looking at their schedule now this year, after just stomping on their own conference, Austin P, Army were their non-conference games. There was some weird COVID cancellations in there. My question to you, Qwan, I'm putting you on the spot. I'm not sure if you're trying to set up a graphic or not, another one. Cincinnati, they go 12-0. They get into the AAC title game. No. National title odds are only 11-1. There's no way that's right. You're missing a number there. It's at least 110-1. I just realized your graphic is not correct on that. I'll look it up right now. But my question is, they go 12-0.
No.
They win the AAC title game. They're 13-0.
Do not put them in the playoff.
Hold on a second. Okay, you can get 150-1. All right, that's the best price. You probably meant to do 110-1 wherever you were looking and just forgot a zero. All is well. Don't worry about it. You know who they play this year out of conference?
Who?
Notre Dame. And Indiana, who was in the top 10 last year out of the Big Ten. If they beat Indiana and Notre Dame, who then each subsequently have really respectable seasons again and are top 25 teams at least, maybe even better, and they go 13-0?
No.
With wins over Notre Dame? What if Notre Dame goes 11-1, their one losses to Cincinnati? The committee would put them in the playoff. Honestly, it's Notre Dame, right? How does Cincinnati not get in at 13-0 with a win against Notre Dame and Indiana, who should be respectable in the Big Ten? Again, it's dependent on other things happening. But if Cincinnati is only maybe the only undefeated team or one of two undefeated teams, I mean, they have to be in the convo. They just have to be.
You can argue it logically, but from a perspective of football, they're going to get slaughtered. Like, I understand that.
Why are they going to – hold on, let's stop there. Why are they going to get slaughtered? Do you mean because of their schedule? That's my point. Their schedule is actually –
they're not facing the level.
Well, that's my point. They're playing – the AAC, by the way, is like the sixth best conference in football. And they're playing Notre Dame and Indiana. The schedule isn't that bad. That's my point. Some of these other teams, like when BYU did it last year, their best team they played was Coastal Carolina, and then they ended up losing anyway. Yes, that schedule was horrific. This is a different level. Even better than like the Boise State Mountain West Conference runs. This schedule would grade out most likely, assuming, again, if Notre Dame's 6-6 and IU's 6-6, then it's not really going to be in the conversation. But if those teams end up being,
they're going to get
heaven forbid top 10, but top 25.
Front, they get dominated up front. They get dominated in the back. Like, it's just night and day.
So you're saying they're just not going to go undefeated. That's fine. That's obviously.
I'm not saying they won't go undefeated. I'm saying if they make it to the playoff. Like, those teams, you playing against teams who are consistently like manhandling teams, and we're talking about like NFL ready players.
They would likely go up against the 1 seed, right? Yeah. If they got in, they would be the last
across
seeds.
The board. You're talking about people that are going to the league, and in Cincinnati, you have a handful that can compete. So it's just like on paper, it would remind me, what was it, the UCF season when they were claiming they were national champions and everything. Like, you get to that point where it's a team that you want to see get a shot, but
they crushed Auburn, right, in that bowl game, and so everyone was. Although I don't know how much Auburn really cared because they had lost to Alabama, I think, recently prior to that. So I don't know. Grades wise, like they're a top 15 team talent wise. Like, I know you're saying they're going to get manhandled, like everyone does against Alabama or Clemson usually, but I'd love to see them. I'm rooting for like one of these teams to sneak in, and this is one of the more prime setups I think for it to at least happen. Because, one, they'll play an extra game, 13 games. And if you look at the non-conference schedule, there's a chance that Indiana and Notre Dame are double-digit win teams that they could beat. And they have to play on back-to-back weeks. There might be a bye week in between. I believe there's a bye week in between. But they play them back-to-back. I don't know. I'm rooting for it. Bearcats, I think that their win total at 10, just from a sheer projection standpoint, I'm a little bit lower than that. So I'm not saying I think that they're going to go 12-0 and then win their conference title game for 13-0. I just am saying that if the option were to present itself for one of these non-Power 5 schools to make their way in, I think this might be it. And I do like them enough that I think minus 200 or better on the conference. Again, smaller, minus 200. A lot of the values escaped the last month or so. We'll move on to UCF, which is a big question mark because of Heupel, right? He leaves. That's kind of been the offense, their MO. And Gabriel really, I think, just harnessed it. And absolutely was fantastic for Heupel. And can Dylan Gabriel duplicate it now with Gus Menzel coming in, who just really hasn't really had an offense that could throw the ball well recently? Now, is that because he's had the lack of a quarterback that could throw at Auburn for these last few years? Or is it a schematic thing? I think it's probably a mix of both. I wouldn't anticipate this offense to be as explosive, though, with Gus Malzahn. And not to mention, they've lost their best receivers now over the last 2 years. And he doesn't have the talent that he'll be throwing to some guys that went to the NFL. And I think their receiving core actually grades out like 11th in the conference itself. Now they have the best quarterback, I think, in Dylan Gabriel. Great running back, great offensive line. Probably average offensive line within the conference, but it's good enough. I think this is a big schematic change. I think with the total at 9.5, I could only look under. I haven't bet it. It's close. Out of conference, Connecticut, that's a W. They play an FCS school. They have Boise State, though, in the opener. I think that'll be a fun game, September 2nd. And then they play Louisville. They're games that, they're going to be favorites against both of those teams. And I don't know. I'm very intrigued to just see, because Boise State in a similar situation, Harsin leaving actually coincidentally to take over from Malzahn and Auburn. They're in a brand new setup too. So not a game I'm particularly eager to bet week 1, but I just think the results kind of vary pretty drastically for UCF, especially obviously if Gabriel were to get hurt. But even in a healthy year, like this UCF team without Heupel could just totally fall off on the offensive side. And I think the hope is that defensively they could be better. We'll see. But they also could just be really great again and be up there competing, with the top of the conference and potentially, making that run at a New Year's Six bowl. But I'm not betting on it. If anything, I think the 9.5s are a little high. So it's under or nothing for UCF. And then that brings us to Tulsa at 6.5. I think they're super deserved to be 3. Again, I know there's a lot of people that are the other direction. They like SMU or Memphis better. Memphis kind of has more of the staying power, but what Tulsa did last year wasn't fluky. A lot of their stuff grades out really well. And I think they lost Zaven Collins, I believe is his name. Zaven Collins, but he's a linebacker, went to the NFL. They also had another transfer at corner, but everyone else is returning, if I recall, from the defensive side, and they have a couple of transfers coming back in. The question is, what can they do offensively? And I believe it's, let me see, find his name. I'm totally spacing. Davis Brin. There it is, quarterback Davis Brin. He played a game against Tulane. Last year was his second career appearance. He played the majority of the game. He graded out an 85.3 QB rating. He had 4 big-time throws for big plays on 32 dropbacks. He looked good. Now, it was only Tulane, but he looked good. Now, the real question here is a Tulsa team that cracked the top 25 last year. If their defense is similar and say top 25 in the country, it was 12th last year in EPA allowed again. Better than Cincinnati's, actually, when it was all said and done relative to the schedule. They can have that defense and then Davis Brin taking a leap and being a guy they can rely on the offensive side, then there's a ton of potential. And I think that's why I have them 3rd, is because I think they've kind of set a floor that's higher for me than SMU would be or Memphis going into the season. So I like Tulsa. It's not enough either, though, to fire on over 6.5. They have a schedule, I think, that ranks the toughest per my ratings, I believe, in the conference. I'd have to double check that. But they play Oklahoma State and Ohio State out of conference. And then they have their conference schedule, which sees Cincinnati and Memphis. I think they do miss out on UCF, but nothing that's helpful for them. They should beat UC Davis, I believe, is their opener, an FCS game. Arkansas State in there. They're better than like Temple and Tulane, although that's like a rivalry game kind of. You never know. They're better than USF, Navy. But like, how do they get to 7 wins when it's, Houston, Memphis, Cincinnati in conference, SMU to end the year? Those are all going to be potentially losable games. And then Oklahoma State and Ohio State, where they're going to be dogs, significant dogs against Ohio State, obviously. It's a team that I think is flying under the radar because their schedule is so tough relative to what we're accustomed to for Tulsa. And people think, oh, their season win total 6.5. They're not very good. That's just not true. And so they're a team I'm hoping I can take advantage of my bullishness on the Golden Hurricane by betting them in spots throughout the season. Maybe it's even from the get-go. They have the FCS game, and then they play Oklahoma State September 11th, then Ohio State September 18th. Maybe we get them as good prices as dogs there in those games, but staying away from the 6.5. So I just wanted to kind of flatten that all out, mold it out, make sure people understand the context where you can be bullish on a team, but the 6.5 as far as their season win total, it's pretty fair. I think you can find as high as 12-1 for the conference. Maybe you want to take a shot there, 12-1, 10-1. I know Qwan, you threw up 9-1 there. I did when I was looking last night and double checking prices and updating them. I did see a little bit better, but it's nothing I'm going to fire. I'm just hoping that week to week Tulsa will offer us some opportunity. There was one other AAC team. I know we don't have a graphic for them, but Tulane going under. You can get 5.5 flat. You can get 5s at plus money. I think both are good. I love the 5.5 minus 110 though when it's all said and done. Another team that grades out a pretty difficult out of conference schedule. Oklahoma to open the year. They play Ole Miss, who I'm extremely bullish on. We talked about them that first week we started doing previews for the SEC. On top of that, they have to play Cincinnati and USF and Tulsa back-to-back weeks, October 30th through November 13th. And then they get a break, and then it's Memphis. Anyway, their schedule is just brutal. And by the way, they play SMU, who is arguably the fourth best team in the conference, before Cincinnati. So you could say they got 4 straight weeks of the 4 toughest teams in the AAC. And this is, again, after they have to play Oklahoma and Ole Miss in non-conference. I'm not anti-Tulane. I'm just telling you the numbers on a 5.5. This is a 4.8 win team for me on average. That's enough to play under 5.5 at minus 110. They have great running backs. The duo is going to be fantastic. Maybe the quarterback, Michael Pratt, takes a leap. There's a chance. They're better there through the air. They never really have been playing that kind of like funky spread wishbone option type offense, which is why they like to run and just try to rely on a defense that really doesn't grade out that well, but they just play slow enough that they're not on the field a ton. It's just going to be tough with who they have to go up against. And it's just the way the schedule falls, where non-conference, it's like almost surely 2 losses out of their first 3 games. And then to play, honestly, they play Houston before SMU. Houston's not a guaranteed win. I mean, that's going to be a relatively toss-up-ish game. Like Houston, SMU, Cincinnati, UCF, Tulsa, like all in a row. And then they still have to end the year with Memphis. Schedule's too tough. That's one of my favorite bets, under the 5.5 for Tulane in the conference. And I think we're going to wrap it up with that. Thanks, Qwan. Nice work. I heard a ding, a sound I've never heard before. I don't know if we have like a super caller or something.
that was the computer. Those
I need a drink because I just talked for like 12 minutes. Yeah, it's like a wing tee option. Yeah.
Like that's one of the most obsolete offenses that you could ever imagine. Like it didn't work. It worked in like 1970. Maybe.
I mean, it worked last year.
What's the definition of work? I hate, first of all, playing against those. Anytime you got to do like 8 fakes.
They were first in the AAC and EPA per rush generated and 10th in all of college football. And they're running. They don't have a quarterback they can throw. Imagine if they could air it out a little bit.
That's the thing. Like,
they can't. But you know what you're getting. What's interesting is I think teams play kind of that defense where it's bend, don't break, is you're going up against the option team. Then they get inside the 30 and it's like field goal range if they get there, and you can kind of tighten up defensively. You're not worried about getting beat anymore now in the red zone. And so you end up, either they're going for it on 4th downs frequently or they're kicking field goals, and you're just going to take those as wins most of the time as a defense. So I kind of see how you would defend it where, and I should have looked at this before now that you're kind of bringing this up, how they perform like EPA, on the other side of the 50 versus their side of the 50. I don't know. It would be interesting to see if there's much of a difference. But theoretically, they graded out well. That's just kind of their bread and butter.
When you do one thing, you got to do it really, really well to be good or good enough.
Did you ever defend it when you played?
And like the last wing, who's a wing T team that we played? Northwood University. They smoked us.
Is this because it's kind of gimmicky where if you don't get used to it, are they better?
They had athletes. So they had athletes at like wings and receivers. So their speed was like night and day better than ours. So it worked for them because we were independents. We were out of conference. But they weren't that good in conference because, once they played like Grand Valley or Saginaw Valley, they knew what they were getting and they could match with their speed. So
I will say this, looking back at last year's schedule for them, no Oklahoma State or Ohio State. No one like that out of conference. They played South Alabama, Southern Miss. Then they played UCF, and they lost by 17. They played Tulsa and lost. It was like a pretty good defense. They didn't even play Cincinnati. So the 3 best teams on their schedule this year, they didn't even play last year. And last year, they still dropped 5 games. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6-5 in the regular season for Tulane, and they just didn't play nearly as difficult of a schedule. So part of the reason they graded out well too is because they didn't play a lot of the teams they're going to face this time. So even if they're similarly effective with the run game, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Cincinnati, you're adding those teams to the mix that they didn't even see a year ago. It's going to be a lot more difficult.
Trouble.
Yeah. And by the way, like they got beat up pretty good in the bowl game against Nevada. Nothing against Nevada. They're probably going to, they're top half of the Mountain West Conference. They've made their way there, but also like
Nevada.
Looking at the schedule and the level of teams they're about to play this year and just where they were at last year in their schedule and like losing by double digits for sure. It might have been like 18 points to Nevada. I'm not buying it. If they go 6-6 or better, so be it. But the under 5.5's really strong. So cool. We'll lock it up there. Any last words? Last thoughts from Qwan? Any last calls? 661-515 bets.
I think we missed Ty today. I don't know what happened to Ty.
He's fumbling for his phone right now. He's got about a minute and a half if someone wants to get a bet in. Surprised the Dodgers were getting bet against as we were doing that other call.
We got
someone.
This is what we could do. We could show the leaderboard.
Did you get it updated finally? Okay.
Did I get it up?
Let's do that. We'll show the leaderboard.
Top 3.
That looks right. And then Tone, we were saying you're around third. You're +3. You're in fourth, but
there are a couple people around 3. Carlos, Tone, and
okay.
I think Saurabh or somebody.
Man, they've just been on fire. Part of me wants to just, I shouldn't say this publicly, bet against them for like the next, 20 days of the month. Now the parlays, you can't really bet against them on parlays, but like everything today, we should side bet. If you think that they end up positive or negative, I think for sure they're going to be negative today. So I kind of want to bet that
I'll take the positive side.
All right, you're going to stay with the hot streak from the callers. All right, I'll go negative. We'll add some cash to the prize pool for this month. But were you giving me the heads up because there's a minute left because we have a caller trying to get in? No callers? All right, just double checking. We still had a chunk of them. You guys end up positive. Qwan wins. I'll put cash in the prize pool. If you're negative, you're going to be negative. I just feel it in my bones. Hey, thanks everyone for participating today. Shout out to the AAC Conference, Tulane Under. I'm Preston Johnson with Qwan Young. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. This is Last Week Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV.